Alright, so in the previous video, we learned how to use the left, mid, and right functions. And using these functions worked out pretty well for our SKU numbers up here in our top example, because all of our SKU numbers had the same format. The first two characters symbolized the brand name, the next three characters were the part number, and the last three were the type. But sometimes you might not get so lucky. For example, if we take a look at the SKU numbers down below, the first SKU has 2 characters before a dash, and then 6 characters after the dash. And then this SKU has 7 characters after the dash, and the last one only has 1 character before the dash. So we can see that all these SKU numbers are a little bit different. And let's say that we want to extract all the characters before the dash, then all the characters after the dash. Well, for our first SKU, we could use the left function and only extract the first 2 characters. And then we could use the right function to extract the last 6 characters. But for our second SKU, we would have to change the left function to extract 3 characters. And then down here we would have to change it again back to 2. And then for our right function, we would have to change it to 7. So if we use the left and right functions for this example, it wouldn't be very efficient. Because if we had thousands of different SKUs, we would have to change and edit the formula for each one. But luckily, we can combine the left and right functions with the len and search functions to automatically extract all the characters before the dash and then all the characters after the dash, regardless of how many characters are before or after the dash. So to start off, let's figure out what the len and search function do. So just to the right of the table, I'm going to make some dummy columns to help us understand what these functions do. So let's start with the len function. So in this cell, we can type in the equal sign and then len. And we can see right here that the len function returns the number of characters in a text string. So if we insert this function and then select our first SKU number, close parentheses, press enter, our function returns 9. And if we count the number of characters within our first SKU, we should get 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all what the len function does is return the number of characters within a string of text. And then we can drag this formula down the rest of our cells. And we can see that some SKUs have 9 characters and others have 10 or 8 characters. Alright, so now let's introduce the search function. So I'm going to make another dummy column, title it search, and what we will be searching for is the dash within the SKU numbers. So let's insert the search function by typing in equal sign, then search. And we can read that the search function returns the number of the character at which a specific character or text string is first found, reading left or right. So basically, we are going to be searching for the dash, and the search function will return the position of where the dash is within that SKU number. So once we have the function inserted, the first argument is telling this function which character to find within a specific text. So we are searching for the dash. So what we need to do is put open quotes, dash, close quotes, because that's the character that we want to find. And then we can put comma, and the second argument is within what text. Well, we can just select our first SKU number. And then we can put close parentheses and click enter. And our search function returned 3 because if we look at our SKU, the dash is found in the third position of this string of text. 1, 2, 3. And then if we fill this formula down, we can see that our second SKU the dash is found in the fourth position. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or for our last one is 2. 1, 2. So we have the len function just returning the total amount of characters within a string of text. And then we have the search function that finds the dash within our string of text and then returns the position of that dash. So now it's time to combine the left and right functions with the len and search functions to get the text before the dash and then get the text after the dash. So let's do before the dash first. So we can click in the first cell and then start to insert our formula. So let's think about this. We need to get the first characters of a string of text, but before the dash. Well, we know if we want to get the first characters of a string of text, we need to use the left function. So that's what we are going to start with. So we can type in $, then left. And then we can select the text that we want to extract from, which is our first SKU, comma, and then we need to specify the number of characters that we want to extract. Well, for this first SKU, we want to extract 2 characters, just to get the BA before the dash. But we can't just put 2, because the next SKU has 3. So we need our formula to adjust accordingly. So what do we need to do here? Well, we know by using the search function, we can locate the position of the dash. And for the first SKU, the dash is the third character of this string of text. Well, for our formula, we can insert the search function to specify the number of characters that we want to extract from the left. So we can type in search, open parentheses, and then for our first argument, we need to specify the character that we want to search for, which is the dash. So we can put open quotes, dash, close quotes, then comma, and then we can select our first SKU because that's the string of text that we want to search. Then we can put close parentheses to close the search function, and then we can close parentheses for the left function. And then let's click enter to see what we get. Well, we got BA dash and not just BA. Well, that's because within our formula, we are using the left function and telling it to extract 3 characters from the left, which is right down here. But we only want to extract 2 characters. Well, since we know that this part of our formula is 3, we can just go to the end of the search function and type -1, because 3 minus 1 is 2. And if we click enter, now we are just getting BA. And then if we copy this formula down the rest of our cells, you can see that the formula is only extracting the characters before the dash. Because for our second SKU, we know that this part of our formula equals 4. And 4 minus 1 is 3, which gets us the first 3 characters of our string of text. Now let's see how we can extract all the characters after the dash. So let's click in our first cell. And we know that we can use the right function to extract a certain amount of characters at the end of a string of text. So for this formula, we have to start with the right function. And for our first argument, we need to select the text that we are going to extract from, which is our first SKU, comma. Now we need to think about how are we going to extract all the characters after the dash. Well, for our first SKU, we have 6 characters after the dash. And then our second SKU only has 5 characters. Well, we can't just use the search function like we did when we extracted the characters before the dash, because for our first example, if we search for the dash here, our formula would produce KTL. because since we are searching for the dash, we would be specifying to extract 3 characters from the right, which is KTL. And that's not what we want. We want to extract these 6 characters after the dash. Well, if we look at our dummy columns, how can we get 6 from these two functions? Well, 9 minus 3 is 6. And then for our second skew, we need to get 5 characters. And if we look in our dummy column again, 9 minus 4 is 5. So to specify the number of characters that we want to extract from the right, we need to combine the len and search function. So up in our formula, we can type in len, open parentheses, select our skew to get the total amount of characters within this cell, which is 9, then close parentheses. And then we need to subtract the search function from the len function to get 6. So up in our formula, we can put minus and then insert the search function, open parentheses. Then we need to specify what to search for, which is the dash. So open quotes, dash, close quotes, comma. And then we can select our first skew because that's the text that we want to search in. Then close parentheses to close out the search function. And then close parentheses again to close out the right function. And if we click enter, we get the last 6 characters of this string of text. And if we copy this formula down, we can see that for our second skew, we only extracted 5 characters from the right because 9 minus 4 is 5. And then for our fourth skew, we extracted 7 characters from the right because 10 minus 3 is 7. So even though that our skews have different total amounts of characters before the dash and then different amounts after the dash, we can combine the len and search function with the right and left function to make our formula automatically adjust to how many characters to extract. And this is a lot more efficient than just using the left and right function alone and then editing the formula to extract a certain amount of characters for each skew.